When I fired up Rise of the Tomb Raider over the holidays, I didn't expect to 100% the damn thing. Not get all the achievements, but just that sweet 100% completion rating in-game. I'm not a completionist, really. Tomb Raider has always been a weird franchise. I mean, from the initial release of Tomb Raider 1 in 1996 up to 2000, there was a new game annually. Let's for the sake of argument call this the core design era, where the franchise shot to stratospheric popularity, only to crash back to earth in spectacular fashion. Core basically ran their dev team into the ground, which was already strained by the release of Tomb Raider Chronicles, and they had been working on the same engine since 1994 when they started developing the first Tomb Raider. Though they modified it for every release, it was downright ancient by that time. Hell, most games were adopting id Tech 3 and the Unreal engines by that time. It needed to evolve. Core needed to take more time with the next game, and history showed it was not time well spent. Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness released in 2003, sporting a new engine for the new console generation with updated graphics, refined gameplay and a massive marketing campaign. Too bad the game itself was a buggy, nearly unplayable mess at launch. It was unfinished, as we later found out, and it was panned by critics and fans. Core, through overworking themselves, effectively killed Tomb Raider. This was when Eidos pulled the plug and handed development of Tomb Raider over to Crystal Dynamics, who weren't strangers to third-person action games. They had developed the 3D installments of the Legacy of Kain series. They also helped on the first Legacy of Kain game in conjunction with Silicon Knights, who originally pitched the idea, but there was a legal battle. Crystal Dynamics won, and here we are. This ushered in what I like to call the first Crystal Age. It came with a reboot, a remake, and a sequel. And they were overall solid, if derivative games. They weren't bad by any stretch, but considering when they came out between 2006 and 2008, on the cusp of the then brand new 7th generation of consoles, they quickly felt dated when compared to new players on the field, like Assassin's Creed and Uncharted. After the release of and the overall mediocre reception to the third game in that series, Tomb Raider Underworld, the team split in two. One working on isometric games featuring the aesthetics established by the Legend series, and one working on another dark and gritty reboot. Now, normally this would send alarm bells going off. And then Square Enix bought Crystal Dynamics' parent company Eidos, and with it the rights to Tomb Raider. Also, it should be noted that both Legend and Underworld, compared to the other games, were pretty damn short. I remember beating Legend in just over 7 hours, and Underworld took about 8. Underworld was a bit longer, mostly because of all that swimming and, well, the fact that I didn't feel like I needed to 100% complete them. Which I have for the new ones. The new ones part of the second Crystal Age. In 2013, Lara was again rebooted and tooled for a new generation. Released initially on the PS3, 360 and PC, and then a few months later ported to the PS4 and Xbox One early in their launch windows. This new Tomb Raider had a completely new look, new gameplay, new continuity, a new voice for Lara, new mythology to explore, and most famously, or infamously, new gruesome death animations. Now, without going into too much detail on 2013's Tomb Raider, it was a damn good video game, and if you haven't made time for it yet, you really should. Which finally brings us to the topic of this video, Rise of the Tomb Raider, which technically released 3 times. First on the Xbox One as a timed exclusive in November 2015. In January 2016 we saw the PC release, and in October of 2016 we got the release on PS4. Just, you know, because why not? I mean, the AAA industry's done weirder things than that. Rise of the Tomb Raider is a fantastic action-adventure game. Lara controls well and exploring the world is a real joy. Each area is lovingly crafted and feels like a real place. Also, Crystal Dynamics, if you're watching, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which was announced, or not announced but leaked, we know about it, just announced it already, had better not go open world. That style has been done to death. You can't be better than The Witcher 3, Breath of the Wild, or Horizon Zero Dawn, so don't even try. Keep it with large levels instead of one open world, please. Anyway, the large levels give you enough room to explore and hone your skills before moving on to the next story mission. And it's legit fun to try and climb to the top of buildings or trees and hunt deer and just sort of climb a mountain. The levels are, as I said, quite sizable. Well, at least 2 of them are. The first main area being outside of Russian installation and the second being this beautiful... Spoiler, I'm not going to say that. Anyway, the other levels in between are more like connective tissue or sub-areas. Which is fine, it's got that same interconnected feel that the first Tomb Raider in this continuity had. This game also added one feature that was sorely missed from Tomb Raider 2013. Tombs. Yes. Rise of the Tomb Raider has tombs. Optional tombs that don't affect the story, but still tombs. Yes, in Rise of the Tomb Raider, you actually get to raid some tombs. Of course, it's not perfect because this is a modern video game. The tombs each only have one puzzle and, well, they're all damn easy in my mind. More navigation tests than actual puzzles. I mean, it's definitely better than the puzzles in the previous one, but I still miss the more intricately designed puzzles of the core era. The last of which we saw in Anniversary, although technically that was just a remake of the very first one, so Crystal Dynamics can make modern interpretations of classic Tomb Raider puzzles. I just really wish they would. That was a bit of a tangent. Where was I? I like puzzles in video games. Hell, a couple of weeks ago I praised Hotline Miami for being a puzzle game by design, and I miss good exploration and key puzzles in my Tomb Raider games. They're way too few and far between these days. There's naturally, because this is a AAA video game in the year of our Lord 2015 to 2016, there's a crafting system and leveling and all that pretty standard stuff. One standout being the language feature. So throughout the course of the game, picking up documents, inspecting murals, things like that, will increase your language proficiency, letting you translate these monoliths that may lead to treasure, and they're gated by levels of a language. It makes sense when you play the game. The weapons are all pretty standard action game fare. You've got your pistol, rifle, shotgun, and of course a bow. Why you would use anything other than the bow, God only knows. But hey, to each their own. The bow also gives you a suite of contextual arrows to use, including fire, poison, and rope variants. I'm kind of hoping the next game adds a water arrow. And maybe some more stealth sections to go with it. You know what, maybe I should just go and replay Thief. I'm talking about this Thief, not this Thief. Yeah, I bet you forgot that second one existed, didn't you? You can also find items on the ground that can be picked up and tossed to distract enemies and later straight up murder them like some kind of vigilante in a black and grey suit. From using radios as mines or bottles as Molotovs. If you use your points to upgrade into that tree, you'll have some good fun on your hands, along with all the blood. Another thing I miss from the core era of Tomb Raider games is boss fights. There weren't really boss fights in Rise of the Tomb Raider, save for the last one, which did feel like a challenging boss fight, yes, but still I didn't feel narratively compelled to face off against this spoiler. Why? Well, simply put, Lara's reasons did not align with my own. And by all counts, that's a failure of the narrative, not me. Side note, Rise of the Tomb Raider actually beat out Witcher 3 for the 2016 Writers Guild Award for Outstanding Achievement in Video Game Writing, which is just straight up I mean, have you played Witcher 3? Sidetrack. This is where things get weird. You see, all the individual elements of Rise are, well, just fine. The mobility is fine. The gunplay is fine. The enemy AI is fine. Well, actually, it's pretty damn good on harder difficulties, but whatever. The story is fine, if a little derivative. It does share some elements with Uncharted 3 and something about immortality. No, wait, that's just Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade again. The characters are fine. The music is fine. The sound design is fine. The graphical fidelity is fine, although the hair physics are pretty sweet. And the performance on PC is fine. Now, when it launched, not so much. It's all just fine. And yet somehow, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. All these systems, which are just fine, coalesce into a truly compelling experience. And you know what? Any problems that I may have mentioned in this video are more just nitpicks. Because I 100%ed the game. That's it for this episode of Escape from Mount Backlog. Like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe if you haven't already. If you are subscribed, hit the notification bell icon, and join us next week when we go a little bit more French. Bye!